of what Destiny has said about that very thing. Let's listen to this.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude, the firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, you don't, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am 100%.
I mean, I got to say, I just found that repulsive, Destiny.
I wish that there is no room. There is no room for the hand wringing, and I will not participate in this anymore.
Oh, it's not hand wringing.
In the hand wringing. No, it absolutely is.
No, it's just that you are positioning yourself.
So well.
No, but Destiny, let me explain to you.
Where conservatives can say anything.
No, I'm not a conservative.
They can have any conspiracy theory.
I'm not a conservative.
They can have any plot. They can do anything, and then liberals are supposed to sit here and be like, "Oh my God, it's so tragic."
Destiny and Dave Rubin went on the Piers Morgan show once again, and Destiny said some things that just set off the whole conversation. It got really heated because the things that he's saying, I just refuse to believe that he truly believes them. He must just be saying these things to sound edgy and get attention. There's no way that any functioning human brain would think these things that are coming out of Destiny's mouth. He's saying things that are just absolutely disgusting. And even Piers Morgan, who's supposed to be the moderator in these whole things, just had to call him out and tell him that he is disgusting. These things that he's saying are absolutely disgusting. I used to be not a fan of Destiny, but I used to watch him quite a bit. I think it's good to watch people that you disagree with get their points of view. And I think, at least in the past, like years ago, Destiny used to have some solid logic behind the ideas that he used to come to, the conclusions that he used to come to. And I used to enjoy hearing the other side's logic on how they logic themselves into certain arguments. Nowadays, it's like he just says things to get people riled up. He just says things to get a clip, to see how edgy he can be. And this is like one of the worst ones that I've seen yet. So let's get into this clip here from Piers Morgan Uncensored of Destiny just getting absolutely destroyed by Dave Rubin and Piers Morgan for these disgusting statements about the Trump assassination attempt.
In Britain, we've had 2 members of parliament in the last 10 years murdered by people for political reasons, basically because, lunatics have wanted to eliminate them. Let me bring in Destiny, because you've been at the centre, as you know, of a massive online response to what you were saying. And I want to go through what you said, and I want to talk to you about this hopefully in a calm manner to try and understand what you were thinking. So on Saturday evening, hours after the shooting, you said, let me clarify, when I say conflicted, what I mean is I lean towards seeing it as a natural extension of the thing Trump and the MAGA kids support. So I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt enough to chastise people celebrating it. You couldn't find it in your heart to chastise people for celebrating the near assassination of a man who was president of the United States and maybe again?
Absolutely not. Conservatives have,
or not even the former president of the United States, but just a normal human that has not harmed anyone physically. Like, these people are so brainwashed. I know that a word hasn't even come out of his mouth yet, but the fact that you can't condemn someone who is trying to murder someone else for simply disagreeing with them and being brainwashed by the media, by people like Destiny, to hate Donald Trump so much. The guy, like, I know he's not an angel or anything. The guy's not a saint, Donald Trump, but he's not, as far as we know, harmed anyone physically with his hands. He's not done physical harm to anyone. So he's innocent in that sense. And to celebrate or not condemn someone for trying to take him out, for simply disagreeing with his ideas and being brainwashed by the media, that's just wild. That's absolutely insane.
Have completely bled that well dry. And the idea that they, after engaging in the most divisive and most extreme rhetoric that this country has seen in recent history, that they would come on and beg for sympathy, that it's escalated into some kind of violent confrontation, is absolutely insane. Even the idea right now of saying, well, if you call somebody a Nazi for so long, it's, what do you expect people to do? I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh call Obama a communist every single day he was on the radio. You've got conservatives that talk about how the mRNA vaccines were ways to sneak microchips into us. You've got COVID lockdowns that were done because the government was trying to take all your freedom away. They won't acknowledge anything that happened on January 6th. They say that the election was stolen and that your country is being taken from you. Like, I don't think anybody should be killed. I don't think anybody should go and kill anybody. But when you engage in...
what's crazy? The left said the same exact thing whenever Donald Trump won. They said it was Russia collusion. The only reason why he won the presidency is because of Russian collusion. The left has said it's just like a mirror, right? It's the same cycles over and over again. Everything that Destiny is listing off, the left has also done. With the BLM riots, burning down cities, the left refuses to acknowledge that bad things were happening to cities that BLM riots, or protests as they call them, were in. And Destiny is complaining that people aren't acknowledging J6. Dude, we saw the tapes of J6. They got let in, they got shown around like it was a tour, and then people cried wolf about it. That's what happened, and it was a setup anyway. But the left did the same thing with BLM. And then the vaccine thing, I don't even understand how that's inflammatory. That's just trying to fight for the American right to not have to put something in your body that you don't want. I don't understand that. And to say that the right has been the predominant side that has been saying these inflammatory things, bringing up these inflammatory ideas, is just ridiculous, dude. There's shows that exist like The View that only exist to inflame their audience, only exist for miserable old ladies to watch, to become more miserable and share in the misery with other old ladies. That's the only reason why that show exists. And every single clip that comes out of it is just, it's very inflammatory. It's very anti-Trump. Like, you already know what they're going to say. They just try to one up themselves every single time. And that's what CNN does. That's what MSNBC does. They just keep trying to one up themselves on how much they can hate Trump, how much they can hate the right, what bad words can they call the right, what new words can they call the right. Like, come on, man. It's very obvious which side is much more inflaming than the other, and it's the left. I'm not saying the right is completely innocent, but it's definitely the left that takes this thing to another level.
This type of rhetoric, and when you turn the temperature up over and over and over and over again, there is absolutely no room for you to be shocked or surprised. And there certainly isn't room for you to ask for sympathy.
But Destiny, you say you don't want anybody killed, and yet you say, I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt to chastise people celebrating it. It's people celebrating the near assassination of Donald Trump. If you can't find it in you to chastise people who do that, aren't you just as despicable as the people you've just spent the last 2 minutes haranguing?
No, because they've led the way. This is the environment that they've created.
So you think behaving like the people you think are despicable is the correct course of action?
Not about behaving like the people who are despicable would be leading that type of rhetoric. It would be denying every single bad thing. How many times?
That's exactly what's happening right now. I don't understand. This guy is going insane, or he's just clip farming. I don't get it. He is saying that people on the right are being inflammatory, and yet he is saying something that I have not heard anyone on the right say, something as inflammatory as this, that he is not condemning the person who is trying to kill the former president for doing nothing except for existing and having differing opinions from himself and being brainwashed by mainstream media. That's it. So if you're saying that the right is despicable for being so inflammatory, and yet you're excusing yourself for doing the same thing, in fact, one-upping anything that I have ever heard from the right by saying that the person who tried to assassinate a former president is not condemnable, that is the most hypocritical thing that I've ever heard in my life. And he just doesn't even see it either, right? Like, Piers Morgan directly called that out, and Destiny's just like, no, like, what are you talking about? He doesn't even see the hypocrisy. He looks like an absolute idiot right now.
As a liberal, how many times as a liberal have you been on a show, not you in general, but like a liberal been on a show and you've been forced to disavow all of the BLM riots, disavow all of the violence and blah, blah, blah. And then you talk to conservatives about it. January 6th,
violence,
that was
that's
a false
good.
flag.
Yeah.
January 6th. Oh, like conservatives disavow January 6th?
Wait. First off, there's an entire cultural machine that has lied. There is an entire
we just saw it in real time. That's it.
What?
That's why conservatives deserve absolutely zero sympathy for anything that happens as a result of their rhetoric. That's it. It's so easy. Like, it's so simple.
Okay, but
I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about, but I would say this is the type of person that the internet has broke their brain, thus leaving them with very little empathy for their co-human. I mean, a good, decent father is now dead because of this. He's had his brains blown out because he was defending his wife and daughter. I would hope that you have a little empathy for that.
Let me jump in there because we have a clip.
If you enjoy content like this, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Of what Destiny has said about that very thing. Let's listen to this.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude. The firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am 100%.
I mean, I got to say, I just found that repulsive, Destiny.
I wish that there is no room There is no room for the hand wringing, and I will not participate in this anymore.
Oh, it's not hand wringing.
In the hand wringing. No,
It's not
it
hand wringing.
absolutely is.
No, it's just that you are positioning yourself.
So well.
No, but
when you are
Destiny,
in a
let me explain
world
to you.
where conservatives can say anything.
No, I'm not a
They can
conservative.
have any conspiracy theory.
I'm not a conservative.
They can have any plot. They can do any of these things, and then liberals are
All right,
supposed to sit here and be like, "Oh
Destiny,
my
no.
God, it's so tragic."
What do you mean conservatives can say anything? Dude, conservatives get canceled left and right. Conservatives are the one that get blackballed in Hollywood. Conservatives are the one that gets fired from their job for having opinions on the internet. You don't ever see leftists go too far left and then get canceled. That never ever happens. What do you mean conservatives can say anything? Conservatives have to watch their back everywhere they go. And now it's seeming like it's not just like, you know, people getting canceled and losing their jobs and stuff. Now it's like it's getting actually violent. They're trying to shoot presidents. If Donald Trump didn't turn his head at the absolutely perfect time, he would be dead right now. And that would like I can't even imagine that world, you know, not because I'm some huge Donald Trump simp or anything, but that is just a scary world to live in. Like, let's say Donald Trump died. I feel like there would be like a dark cloud over America still a few days later. Like, it would be a very dark cloud, you know, it would be a really eerie feeling, like something is probably about to pop off if that were to happen. And if people like Destiny don't disavow the assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life, do you think that that's going to cause less assassination attempts in the future? If people like on the left, like Destiny, are celebrating the assassination attempt and celebrating people dying in the audience, innocent people dying in the audience, then do you think that's going to cause less assassination attempts and political violence in the future, or more? That's obviously going to cause more. And he's the one that's trying to say the right is despicable for all their inflammatory statements that they've been saying over the last few years. It's ridiculous.
No, Destiny,
absolutely not.
Let me explain.
Absolutely.
Let me explain my position, because I'm not a conservative. I'm not on either side in your race, right? Here's what I think about what you did. You'd like to fire off, as you've done so far in this debate, about your fury at how disgusting Republicans are, how inhumane they are, how they never have any empathy, blah, 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 blah. And then you yourself actually are exactly the person that you're describing. You are inhuman. You are somebody who seems almost gleeful that a young firefighter with a family, with a wife and children, who he was protecting as he was shot dead, that he deserved what was coming to him because he went to a President Trump rally, a man who was president of the United States until recently for 4 years and maybe again. You sound almost gleeful, Destin, and I'm sorry, that makes you, frankly, despicable.
I don't think I'm gleeful about anything. I don't think anybody should die. I don't think anybody deserves to die. But you want to talk about gleeful? Look at the conservative response to Pelosi's husband when they broke in.
I can answer that.
Mainstream media figures
I can answer that.
I don't care.
I can answer that.
With all due respect, I don't care what your answer is.
Let me answer that.
The reality is that conservatives have been turning the temperature up on the rhetoric. They have been making fun of these types of events for years, and now when something happens to them, now they're looking for sympathy from the liberal side. Absolutely not. It's insane.
I don't think anybody wants sympathy. What I will somewhat agree with Destiny here is that conservatives have turned up the heat a little bit. Like, they've played their part. I think the left has gone way further. And look at this freeze frame on Destiny, by the way. That's a scary one. But I think conservatives have played their part in turning up the heat for sure. But I think the left has been way worse, and they've turned up the heat a lot more than conservatives have. I've been saying for a while, though, we got to stop making the jokes about people, you know, leftists, whenever they die and stuff, like, were they jabbed and stuff like that. We got to stop using people's deaths to further our political agendas. And we got to stop. We got to show some honor, show some respect for people. At the end of the day, we're all humans. Yeah, we might be on opposite sides. They might have said some things that they thought were right in the moment, and they got the jab, they promoted the jab, they thought that was right in the moment, ended up coming back to bite them. That might be the case, but show some grace, you know, show some respect. And people hate me for saying that. I know you get so mad, you just want to be so hateful to everybody else that disagrees with you, but that's a problem. You know, that's part of the problem. That's why the temperature has gotten to where it is now, to where people are trying to assassinate presidents. And in my opinion, it's very hypocritical to criticize Destiny of not disavowing the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, because that's going to inflame his side more, and then also go back and make fun of people for dying who were jabbed on your side. That's hypocritical as hell. I think it's time to stop doing that. Stop trying to use people's deaths and assassination attempts to further your agenda, and start realizing that we're all human. Yeah, we disagree, and a lot of people like Destiny spread harmful stuff, and that should be called out. but nobody deserves to die, and definitely nobody deserves to be laughed at after they die, you know, and nobody deserves their death to be used for political, you know, agenda pushing. It shouldn't be done.
Unhinged.
Yeah,
That you
but
can
here's the
conduct
problem.
yourself in such a manner and
here's the
expect people to feel
problem.
sorry when things happen.
Why should anybody on the right listen to a word of your hectoring and lecturing about how they should behave? And by the way, for the record, the mockery of Nancy Pelosi's husband when he was attacked by an intruder with a hammer was also despicable, right? I can see despicable behavior on all sides, and I'm happy to call it out when I see it. You, however, want to present yourself as this great kind of standard bearer of decency who sees outrageous behavior on the right time and again and is incensed by this disgusting, inhumane behavior. And yet time and again, since the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, you have displayed exactly the same kind of inhumane behavior. Fuck him about a fireman who is killed because he attends a rally of a guy he wants to vote for.
My issue with the MAGA kids is not that they are not empathetic. My issue is that they support a president that led an insurrection against the United States. I'm not here to tone police over their empathy.
18 million people voted for Donald Trump last time round.
That's great. 80 million people voted for a guy that tried to insurrect the government, and it looks like they might try to do it again. I mean, like, I don't know what you want me to say. These are the facts on the ground. The idea that
so you don't like attacks on democracy. So presumably you would unreservedly condemn the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, because that's one of the most egregious attacks on American democracy in modern times. Presumably,
I don't think that
you will
anybody
take this opportunity, given you are so determined to protect the integrity of democracy, you would find it absolutely outrageous that someone has tried to assassinate a president, right?
If the other conservatives on this show want to say that it was absolutely outrageous that Donald Trump attempted to coup the government,
I'm asking you.
Then maybe I would. Yeah, no, I'm not going to get on my knees and beg for forgiveness or show sympathy to conservatives.
I'm not asking for that. I'm asking you to condemn what happened as an egregious attack on democracy. Can you do that?
No, I won't. No, I won't.
You can't do that. You see,
It's just childish as hell, man. Because, you know, the left, I don't really care what they do. You know, I don't really care. I understand they want me dead. I understand. Like, because I disagree with them, they want you dead. And that's proven once again because they tried to murder Donald Trump for disagreeing with them. And I understand. Destiny, he probably wants me dead. Most leftists out there probably want all of us dead. But that doesn't mean that we should act like pieces of shit because they're pieces of shit. Like that's not how it works. And at least in my eyes. And that's how it works in Destiny's eyes. It's very childish, and it's how the leftists think. Because Destiny doesn't like that people aren't disavowing J6 and you know, en masse. He's like, no, I will not disavow this attempted murder on Donald Trump. It's just nuts. It's nutty.
Why the hell, frankly, Destiny,
absolutely not.
Why the hell should we listen to a word you have to say about...
Why do you think conservatives haven't been listening to a word that liberals have said about anything for 8 years?
Right,
what do you think is going to change?
They?
You think if liberals come out now and they go, oh my God, this was so horrible, you think they're going to go, wow, that is true. Maybe that should also like...
Charlie, I'll bring you in at the end of this, I promise you, and you'll get a good chance to respond. But here's my problem, Destiny, with your whole position on this, right? Is that you don't actually have anything inside you that you want the other side to have. You don't have any of the empathy. You don't have any sympathy. You don't care that someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump. You don't care that a young fireman with a family was killed in the process. You don't actually. You are not the person you want these other people to be. And all you do is play whataboutery with every question I give you. And I'm just startled.
It's not what about it. We're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about the temperature of this country. But here's a question for the two panelists. What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric? What do they think the answer to that question is?
What percentage could it be that the other side, as we've just heard from...
I think it was probably like 5% because of Donald Trump's rhetoric and 95% because of people like Destiny and Whoopi Goldberg and The View and MSNBC and CNN and all these people trying to act like Donald Trump has said certain things and done certain things that he never has done. Maybe due to Joe Biden and his regime trying to throw Donald Trump in jail because he's a political opponent of theirs, and just the brainwashing of leftists by the media, mainstream media, YouTubers like Destiny, and you know the rest of the leftists out there that have a microphone and a camera. I think that's 95% of it is what was, you know, the cause of this Donald Trump assassination attempt.
From Dave Rubin, has spent 8 years calling Donald Trump the new Adolf Hitler, a person who was responsible for the murder of 12 million people, including 6 million Jewish people in a Holocaust. Last time I checked, Donald Trump hasn't murdered 12 million people. So much as you would like him to be the new Hitler, he's not. But again, to an impressionable young deranged mind who has easy access to guns, that can be easily interpreted as an existential threat, said President Biden. Somebody that needs to be put in the bullseye, said Biden.
Okay,
only last week. And guess what? Somebody then comes forward and tries to kill the existential threat.
Rhetoric? Who is engaged in more divisive rhetoric over the 8 years? If you had to guess, if you had to assign a rough percentage,
again you're playing whataboutery. Again you're deflecting. Just as Joe Biden did last night. Just as Joe Biden did with Lester Holt on NBC last night. Every time he was asked, "Have you done any soul searching about your own rhetoric, your own ill-advised use of language?" He deflected it back to attacks on Trump. And you're doing exactly the same thing with Republicans.
And I will do the exact same thing.
You say Republicans
you want Biden
you say that they are lacking in
comment when Donald Trump was saying Second Amendment people could maybe do something about Hillary Clinton. Like, no, it's absolutely deranged. The double standard that's being asked here is insane. And you heard both of them say it earlier. How much did Donald Trump's rhetoric contribute to the current environment? Oh, not much at all. Like, no, yeah, I'm not going to say anything to these people. Of course not.
You see, Destiny,
seem oddly unversed in any of the current events that have happened over the last couple of years. First off, politics is downstream from culture, right? And what has happened to our culture in the last 8 years? What has happened to our culture is that the mainstream media has lied about everything, always to the detriment of right-leaning people, whether it is the Russia hoax or COVID or Brett Kavanaugh's a serial rapist or the Covington kids are racist or Jesse Smollett was hoaxed, was lynched, or whether it was very fine people on both sides. Every single lie always goes against right-leaning people. So they are slightly annoyed and distrustful of people like you and other people in mainstream media who lie about literally everything. So perhaps
literally everything, like biolabs and Nazis in Ukraine, or like mRNA vaccines that are causing 20% excess deaths. There it is. Yeah, or the fact that COVID lockdowns were going to go on forever, and it was just an authoritarian abuse of power. Or, yeah, of course. Like, come on, dude. Conservatives are masters of misinformation, and it's happening right here.
All right, let me bring in Charlie. He's been waiting very patiently. Charlie, thank you for being so patient. Things have obviously got quite heated quite quickly.
Yeah, that's about it in terms of the Destiny part. I know this video is pretty long, but it was a long back and forth, and it was very, very heated. I found it very interesting. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Destiny and Dave Rubin's appearance over on Piers Morgan. I thought Piers Morgan did a pretty good job at pushing back on the nonsense that Destiny was spewing out there, and it is just a perfect example of how broken leftist brains have become as a result of not Donald Trump, in my opinion, more as a result of mainstream media and leftist media in general pushing people and brainwashing them in that direction. It's a really sad state that the country's in. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Destiny and Dave Rubin appearing on Piers Morgan Uncensored.